Today he is.
No rain. Don't worry. Ben's here, but no rain.
Yay.
But there is smoke.
With Riley just to start off, is there something, he's taking a beat out for that few minutes?
Yeah, no, I think everybody needs a breather, and he, needs one right now. So he's available. He may get a pinch hit. But yeah, I think it's pretty obvious he needed a day.
It's a challenge. Not just because you've got the new relievers, but in terms of figuring out like the uses. I know you guys, Scott talked about it, you talked about it. You kind of have a plan for how you see the next couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
Can you even get into it yet? Your starters, you got 5 starters.
Yeah, no complaints about the starters going deep into games. We've hit a time where we have at least close to half the bullpen has changed over at the same time that we're on this roll of like 6 and 7 inning starts, and so hopefully it stays that way. And I have these dilemmas on when to get Melton in or when to get Montero in or how to use our guys, but the reality is the games will kind of play out how they do. But yeah, we'll get our guys in and be creative with it. And I'm trying to get it right the first time for these guys. When they, whether it's Melton going down to the pen or the new guys, getting their feet wet as Tigers. Sometimes the game dictates that it doesn't always work. It's not easy, but we'll work it out over time. We've got a day off on Thursday, and then I think 13 straight. So the pen will be tested.
With all of the different faces, parts in the bullpen and the pitching staff, what kind of, I don't want to say load, but just what kind of extra does that put in for your catching staff?
Yeah, I mean I think it's been maybe a tick overblown that it's massive. The number obviously is big, but the actual guys that have come onto the team, was Finnegan and Montero. Melton being new in the pen. Jackson's been here for a few outings now, so I think that just getting a game plan for everybody is important. But it probably looks tougher on paper than it actually really is. I think the game situations, I'm more curious how the adjustments are going to go. So Finnegan gets in his first game. It's the heat of the game. It's the 8th inning. It's the Phillies, packed house. Dingler had to think on his feet pretty quickly, with a pitcher that he'd never caught before. The preparation's easy. Like the time in the bus and the clubhouse and the food room, like all that stuff is pretty easy. You got to play the games. And so that's why game situations, I think, are really important for our catchers. And same thing last week with Paddock and Raj. So that's probably a bigger adjustment.
Following up on Paddock just quickly, AJ, he seemed pretty excited yesterday at the prospect of facing his former team today.
Yeah, I think it's always good to see, what guys love seeing your old teammates, and then obviously in a new uniform and a new experience. I think if you can compartmentalize that a little bit and get after them, it's not going to necessarily be all that friendly. I think on the front end, it's fun banter, and then you get in the box, and that goes forever. I mean, Casey Mize and Julian, played college ball together. Like there's always going to be that banter. The fact that it was a week ago, he's in their clubhouse with a lot of their players, and then a week later he's facing them. I think the first guy, if a guy gets a hit early, will end the love affair with pitching against your ex-team, and vice versa. He punches the first hitter of the game, they'll make the adjustment and get into competitive mode.
AJ, you mentioned wanting to get Montero in. Yeah. It just game hasn't lended itself to it. But what about Troy Melton? Is there any eagerness to see how he comes out of the pen, and especially just kind of keep him going after the start?
Yeah, I mean, you can't force it, but yeah, of course. I want to pitch all these guys, but I'm going to do it when it makes the most sense for our team. At the end of the day, if innings are limited because our starters are dealing, welcome to life in the bullpen. So whether it's Troy or Rafi or whoever, it's just part of the game. But yeah, I hope to use all of them, and I hope that these guys can get their feet wet in the pen. But I'm not going to force it.
We have not seen a ton of McKinstry as short until the past week. It's been a lot. What are the factors leading to that? How comfortable are you with him at short?
Yeah, I mean, the roster's configured a little differently now with the injuries that we've had, with Parker being out. I love Wenzel on the corner. I will play him in center, but when Matty's not playing, you know, I shift Javi out there. That gets Z-Mac a little bit of time at short, and then Javi's off today. Matty's back in the lineup. Need coverage at short. So it becomes a need, you know, with how the roster is right now. And he can handle it. I mean, I think he's made some really subtle defensive adjustments. It's gotten a little bit better. I like he's playing a little more one-handed. He's not just relying on his arm. You know, I think he's getting off the ball a little bit better. So I think he can do it, and the way that our roster can move around, and I want to keep Javi in center just because the injury to Meadows kind of gets your attention that you need some coverage out there, and Javi was really good. So some needs, some strategy, keeping Colt in the lineup when I'm DHing Carp or Riley, like just the way that the pieces fit together. Tend to go Colt at third, Z-Mac at short, Javi in center, to get the group of guys in the lineup that I want.
For Zach and the hard hustle, how much does that kind of embody, you know, who he is as a player?
Yeah, it shouldn't surprise anyone, you know, just by watching him and being around him, and he finds his way in the mess all the time, you know, and I don't know why. I kind of always attribute that to the guy that dives and the guy that slides and the guy that does everything well. You know, he does embody that award, and I'm glad the recognition he's gotten. You know, for players who've maybe not been popular their whole life or never been on the front, you know, front and center of a lot of attention, it's cool to see guys get recognized for the way they play. Good.